You are listening to Venus Rose, interactive spiritual Q&A and the power of sound.
Music is like sunshine.
Self-love, or how to create a safe space from within. Hello, conscious souls. How are you feeling? First of all, thank you for listening to my first episode. I'm so over the moon to see that I almost got all continents covered. Thank you so much for sending in questions. I'm excited and ready to dive in. Self-love is such a crucial topic in general, but especially at the present moment where the world out there does not feel safe at all. So we need to connect with our own capabilities to make the world a better place, creating a safe space from within. Starting with loving ourselves and then expanding it out into our universes. But how do we do that? I believe one of the most important things to start with is to get to know ourselves better. Cultivating mindfulness for ourselves is the first lesson. Learning to be patient, how to listen and observe what we need. Yeah, not the voice that wants you to eat the whole chocolate. That is most likely a coping mechanism from a lack of sweetness in your childhood. I know that it is not easy. That's why I said patience is required and we need practice. If this would be taught at school, we'd all be more stable and of course more able to give love, hence less fights on this earth. We all are packed with patterns that we inherited from our ancestors in our genes and stuff we got from our parents through epigenetics and upbringing. The education system and the society we were raised plays a big role. In the last episode, I talked briefly about some experiences I had and how I evolved. Not wanting to go on a large tangent here, but I am laying the groundwork for the questions. I want to start with Eileen. She dropped her questions on Spotify. She wrote the following. Yes, self-love is very multifaceted and takes place on so many levels. I have a question on this topic. How can I help people to create more self-love if words don't help? Is there a way on an energetic level? First of all, thank you for taking the time to ask and write it down. What I love about your words are that you are tying the spiritual aspect into it. As you said yourself, self-love is very multifaceted. That makes it so special and unique, like every single being on this planet. You are a kind soul. To offer help in general is not always easy, but with self-love even more tricky, since it has to come from the inside of the being. Otherwise it would be forced, or at least not authentic. What I mean, it would be not true, hence no way for the being to sustain the feeling. One can use positive affirmations, for example, to start with, just generally speaking. But in your question, you even reach for the higher degree and ask, what can I do if words don't help? Well, from my point of view, there are two ways you could approach this that probably should be combined. First, you need to cultivate your own self-love. That is the most important aspect. How do you want to give something you don't have yourself? This does not mean you need to be perfect. No one is. But the love for yourself needs to be so rich, warm, and exuberant that it overflows in a way that is palpable. It doesn't have to be loud or outgoing, on the contrary. But it needs to be strong. I talked about Nada Brahma and that the world is sound. Even Einstein saw particles can be waveforms. Please correct me in case I did get it wrong. So if you vibrate in your own self-love, you are helping others automatically. Second part is expressing your own self-love by living it in your daily life, which comes naturally. Demonstrate it, or I'd rather say be a model, so that the one you want to help with, without words, can watch you. For example, you being healthy and fit because you choose the food that supports your body in this way. This is the point where we don't have more influence. Everything else would be manipulation. So if the being feels your vibe and decides to want something similar like you for itself, it will tag along and watch you making your dance moves, probably try them out for themselves. I will continue with a similar question that reached me, where Jessica has asked, how can I teach other people to find self-love within them? I am an occupational therapist who works with various different beings of all ages, sometimes older or disabled, recently with refugees who are mentally depleted. They all are at stages in their lives where the circumstances are not the easiest, at times even dire. Dear Jessica, thank you for submitting your question personally via email. There is an email in the footnotes where you can write to me for all those of you who are not on YouTube or social media, or the ones who would like to do energy work sessions with me via sound with crystal bowls and voice. So back to your question, which is in depth very similar to the one Eileen asked. In your case, I would not recommend affirmations, but other tools like sound or songs the beings love or have positive memories with. You could use oils or other things that smell that may help to shift the frequency of the person. Flower essences are good ways to help maintaining a lighter frequency, at least to loosen the grip of a heavy situation. But you, as the observer, holding the space in that moment with your self-love energy is the potent opportunity. I say opportunity because, as I said earlier, I believe it needs to come from inside of the person's self, a spark that is ignited by your self-love, that at least creates a self-care to begin with, and from that stage, I want to take care of myself, the person starts to be more attentive with their needs, and so the self-love journey may begin. You gave an example, Jessica, where a woman who has not left her room for a long time asked to be taken outside into the sun to be with you and your dog. As you said yourself, she began to take care of herself again. Wanting something for yourself to improve your state of being that neither hurts or harms anyone else is a good point to start. I would like to continue with Christiana. I believe her question is one of the most common one we all can relate to. And Jessica's second one is practically the same. Christiana wrote, how can I reconnect with my inner guidance on days when I feel overwhelmed and out of sync? Every one of us has a lot on the plate each day, whether we have kids or pets or clients or patients, working online with colleagues from abroad with different time zones, whatever it may be for each of us personally, mostly it is fast. The lives we are living are full of tasks and duties, so it is easy to get lost sometimes to a degree. As long as things are aligned, of course, it's more easy. But when the daily business is nagging, it gets tough. What I would recommend is to take a short amount of time, even if it's only 5 minutes, in the beginning of the day to check in with the divine. That prevents you from falling out of sync in the first place. It needs practice, like everything on earth, but you will get better. You do not have to call it meditation, but the first 5 minutes of the day are crucial. It has to do with our nervous system. We harmonize it by connecting with something positive before negative news in whatever way floods our systems. You can ask, for example, what is my highest timeline for today? In this way, you bring your focus on a high frequency at the beginning of your day. Important is a moment of stillness before the busy pace begins. The divine is never loud, but always there, waiting for us to connect. Use music after a stressful day, whatever you prefer. You can also check out my YouTube channel, Seraphim Sounds. You can find the link in the notes. And listen to the higher frequencies there to help you get back in sync. During longer time periods where you know there will be more stress than usual, you can also add flower essences. Put them beside your bed and take 3 drops before you sleep and when you wake up. They do help as well when you have fallen out of alignment to get back to balance. The blossoms are true friends and good companions. There are English ones from Bach, the California ones that I work a lot with, but Australian bush flowers are also beautiful as well. You can send me an ask if you want to know more about flower essences in general. I, for myself, feel off when I wasn't able to get the proper amount of stillness in the beginning of the day. I hope this is a bit helpful. So, the next question is from Sandra. We both already work together for many years now. I want to mention her horse Herman at this point in time. He passed away a year ago now, but lives in our hearts with vivid memories. He was a very wise being with a big present energy. I am honored that you have worked with me, and thank you for your trust. Sandra and I know each other well. She wrote, "My questions, which keep me running with high speed. My core belief is that I need to be successful and work hard in order to be loved. What is the feeling behind and the underlying need? Thank you for your podcast and help and the love you bring into this world. I'm grateful, Sandra. Thank you that you took the time to send the question via YouTube. I would like to circle back to the beginning of the podcast, where I started with the facts that we have cells who are programmed with patterns that we inherited from our ancestors in our genes and stuff we got from our parents through epigenetics and the way we are raised. Your question seems to be one about values. If success is something that is highly valued in your family, you inherit this frequency automatically. That is the underlying energy that pushes. In the last generation, men were the ones who are measured by money and success. And I do not want to open Pandora's box of feminism here. Neither do I want to talk about the gender pay gap. But as a woman, you need to work let's say, harder than men to prove you are worth the money. Not only to men, but to other women as well. So in your case, since I know you are a businesswoman who is flying around the world, your pressure comes from inside and outside. Standing your ground in the corporate world, dealing with the different ethnicities in the countries on several continents is very demanding, and you are doing good. A lack of acknowledgement, especially from your father's side, is a deep wound you share with many women in your generation, but you made the best of it, I would say. You are successful. Proved them wrong, so to speak. The feeling might be still lingering from a younger self. Take her into your arms, in your mind's eye. You are not the little girl anymore waiting to be recognized. Be mindful with yourself. Since we know each other, I am aware that you are already doing a lot. Continue to be attentive to the needs of body and psyche. Slow down a bit, take your time outs, be patient, and listen to your inner guidance to cultivate the safe space within you. Give yourself the appreciation that you deserve. If you hold that frequency more, it will be less necessary to get it from outside. Take your time for coziness. Being soft is a way to be flexible. Let the world see who you are, fierce and fiery. I trust that the way I've been of service today resonated with you since you made it this far. I once wrote about the feeling of being worthy, and that it is, from my point of view, the foundation to gain and grow consciousness. That is the reason I believe society does not want us to be serene. Humanity is ruled by fear for at least 2,000 years, whether fear of going to hell or not gaining enough money to live triggers certain parts of our brain. The antidote to fear is the feeling of safety. How do we feel safe? An individual process, for sure, but being acknowledged, appreciated, our body properly nourished, is a good way to feel safe and loved. I offered some tools and ways how to start to create a safe space within ourselves. If we practice self-care and decide to get to know ourselves in a way that we can have appreciation for all parts within us, we are on a good path. Learning to understand why some less favorable parts show up due to upbringing or trauma in the way they do helps us gain clarity and patience on the journey to be a human on this earth. The ability to create a safe space within, or a sacred sanctuary, as I would say, comes with it. We are in Gemini season, so the overall themes for the next weeks could only be about communication. But please let me know what kind of, between lovers, between humans and animals. Send me your questions, and the topic with the most one will be the next. Until soon, love for you all. Rose.